Okay. Hello and hello everyone, and I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday morning. My name is Sugi Yamagawa, and I'm just a regular guy VTubing my slow life hobbies in my 30s. So, for today, we're continuing the Coffin shelf build. Last time, we basically got to the point where we have this wonderful shape here before us that is definitely very coffin-y. Yeah, we'll go with coffin-y. So, as you can see, we're here on Table Saw Coon. We're not actually going to be using Table Saw Coon very much because I took the pleasure of already cutting some boards out because I really wanted this today to be more of putting this together, bringing it together, and actually getting it done, because I do wish for today to be the final day I work on this, because otherwise, oh boy. Because I've already got like next week scheduled out, and next week is going to be fairly busy. So I don't want to be too busy next week. Good morning to you, Captain Cocoa Puff. And also, I'm also not sure if the time change affects anyone here, but the time change has affected me, and it's been actually a really big positive for me. Because I woke up technically early, but not actually early, and was able to get stuff done. Got a lot of stuff done before this, which was nice, because now I'm doing this. So, I have two boards here. As we can see, they have some holes in them. This one's actually really bad. This board's actually in pretty bad shape, because not only do we have this hole, along with this hole, we also have a crack that runs all the way basically straight through the center of the board, which makes this a really difficult thing to use in most standard projects. But it is going to work for what I wish to do today. And then we have this guy here. This guy has what was once a loose knot hole there. And then we also have this here, which, considering this is bark here, this was probably just a rotten spot in the tree, because we have this big knot here with some growth coming off of it, so we probably had a really big limb here, and this was just an open spot in the tree, and when they cut this board out, just gave us that. Now, what makes these good for what I'm doing is this is going to be a shelf I'm sticking in my fridge. And because I'm sticking it in my fridge, I want there to be some airflow. I want the air in the coffin to get out, and then I also want other air to go in. So, what I'm genuinely thinking about for these two boards is I can line up one right around here-ish. And then this one, let's see here. I think that will be reasonably well. Now, another reason why I'm adding boards to the back, even though I want airflow, is when I put beverages in here, I don't want the beverages falling out through the back. I want there to be something in the back where nothing can fall out. This is what I want. So, we're going to bring this around, and this is going to be our first field of action, field of business, because I want my boards to be a hair bit off the bottom. As we can see, we have a nice little gap here. And then I also don't want my boards coming towards the top. If I have a little bit of gap in the center, that's fine. That's just going to be another thing that's going to help me get the airflow I want. With all that, it is time for Drill Coon, and I need to take a sip of water. Let's see. I'll go ahead and use the... I'm going to be using 1 5/8 deck screws for this. Because, well, I want to. I could technically get away with my 1 1/4 screws, but I have plenty of wood to drill into. So I'm gonna take advantage of the plenty of wood I've got to drill into. So that's the drive bit I want. So we'll take you out, and that's our drive bit. I should not do that. I need to be very careful to keep the table saw surface open, because that's going to let me spin the coffin around and just do stuff. Otherwise, if I have too much stuff here, it's going to make it harder for me to work on. I'm trying to park as much of my various off tools on the workbench, which is like right here. And also hello to you, Yoshiharu. Hope you're having a fine Sunday morning. Actually, do I want to go with 1/8? That's the thing with these screws. These screws are pretty thin, boys. So I think I'll make my selection of 7/64. And there's the 7/64. And I think for the bottom part here, I'm going to be generous. And by generous, I mean excessive. I'm going to go for 3 screw holes. And then that's 3 for that board, and because gravity is doing a lot of work for me, means I can just keep on having fun. Gotta love It's always fun when I have gravity working for me rather than against me. It seems like I usually have gravity working against me, but for at least this part, I have gravity on my side. Woo! But with these 2 screws in, has really opened up the cracks in this guy. That's one of several reasons why I'm going with 3 screws on the bottom. So that's 1 board secured. I need that amount of screws. I already have 1 in my hand. Oh, that shifted big time. Granted, that's a real fun thing about the... Oh, wait. That's the fun thing with the back. The back, I can just be like, whatevers. I don't care. Because I'm not going to be looking at it. That's one of the real fun things with any sort of woodworking project. If you have a side of your piece or your project that either you or no one else is going to see, you can just treat it however, though, you wish. Doesn't matter. Nothing really matters. So I think for here, I definitely have a slightly reduced amount of wood, but that's also because I'm just trying to keep the back. Because I actually cut these boards a little bit shorter than this side to this side. Primarily because, one, I don't want it to be proud on the back, because if these boards were to stick out past this lip on the back side, well, the bottom side, then there would be a slight tilt to it. But I want this to rest as level as possible, so it doesn't do any weird wobbles on me. And then also, I feel like it just looks a little bit better if you just see this top board and this stuff is a little bit depressed down. And that's just kind of sort of my sense of aesthetics. Now, one of these days, I need to upgrade my woodworking setup and get the ultimate jig. And the ultimate jig is the humble but mighty shooting board. And what the shooting board is, it's basically a jig. You can set it on any sort of work surface, and you can take a hand plane on one side, have your workpiece on the other, and then you can move your workpiece on this side of the jig. Jig supports the workpiece, and you can shave off the end grain of your boards and really trim them really at a nice solid 90-degree angle and get in the exact length you want. I've yet to get that far into this hobby to get to the point where I'm far enough to where I want one, but there's still the matter of actually making one. And I'm not quite at that point. And as you can see, I'm going in here at a slight angle. And it's mostly because I want these screws to pull the pieces in close and flush. Because this one, I don't have a lot of give on. This one, I have a lot of give on. Really want to make sure. Really squealing there too. And there we go. So for this side of the world, I'm just going to be going with 4 screws. Just so that way I can keep my screws on the opposite sides of my weak points. Now I could go ahead and add here, probably just 2, but I could probably do a 3rd there, but I feel like a 3rd's excessive. Which sometimes I don't mind being a little bit excessive. But I don't like to consistently be excessive. If I'm consistently excessive, then it's like being a little bit too much. And I don't want that. That is an undesirable outcome. There's definitely a very good enough to make it happen. Good enough to where it works well, and I'm happy with it. Which, as far as the back of this, I don't have any good places to set that. But yeah, that's the backboard's done. So we got holes, got really nice big slits in the side, down the center. That's going to enable a lot of airflow. Now, I might add some holes to the sides here at some point, maybe later on, because my primary vision for today is to get the project done, and if things go pretty quickly, then we'll probably spend a little bit of time making stuff pretty, making stuff really work. But yeah. Ooh, I like that. I like that. None of these gaps are big enough to where a beer can can fall through. And it's still plenty stable, which is really good. We want stable. Because I want to be able to, like, it's stable. And I actually really like the amount of room I have for airflow. So, this is going to be a shelf project. And, well, right now, we have one level. We need to add another level to this. And I'm thinking, sure. We'll just raise things up a bit. Is that loose enough? Should, ooh, oh wow. Lots of up. We've got lots of up now. So now we're going to worry about this level. So I've already got some holes here and here for the attached brackets. And I need to, I've got some scrap offcuts, which, yeah, that's thick enough. That's the important thing. It needs to be thick enough. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just literally add a block of wood. And as you can see here, we've got a rough unfinished side, and then we have a finished side. And what I did with that is I basically made these blocks of wood slightly thinner than the width of these sideboards. And there was a good reason for that. The good reason is that enables these to sit within this, because eventually we're going to build a front to this. We're going to actually build a nice proper door. I actually have some hardware, some hinges, and that's actually going to be the big figure out part of today's stream. Is literally figuring that out. That's going to be like, that's going to be the mind bender for me. Is figuring that out. But we're just going to have blocks of wood, and then having 2 blocks on either side. We're going to, I've already have a piece cut out for the shelf. Be going with this piece. This piece is going to basically sit right in here on our little blocks of wood. And then this will be a nice little spot for some additional cans of beer. So we're now going to draw our attention to here. And what I would like to do is take out one of these screws. We're going to remove one of those. With the purpose being, we're going to replace it. Goodness gracious. So a lot of the wood that you've been seeing me use today, this morning, I actually pre-cut this before stream because I didn't want to do a whole lot of cutting on my table saw. Because it's Sunday morning. I didn't want to get like too ambitious with doing a lot of work on my table saw. Because otherwise it would have been rough. It gets a little rough sometimes using the table saw on stream, and I wanted to avoid that. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take my magic block of wood, hold it roughly where I want it, take my drill, and pre-drill a little bit of a hole. And then that little bit of hole is going to help me line some stuff up. And more importantly, hold it. So as I go in, which Guess I should be showing you all. This is gonna be, I need to be able to access that. That's gonna be rough. Okay, well, you're just gonna have to live with the description. Because I can't hold this and do what I need to do. But there we go. But there's a piece of wood in the shelf. No, don't do that. That's bad. That's really bad. Ooh. I got that screw way too tight. Okay. So what I was trying to do was turn this block of wood, and I failed immensely because I wanted to level it. But that's, admittedly, this is fine. This is not a great deal of, it's not project ruining. It's just inconveniencing for me, is what it comes down to. Oh wait, one screw's different than the others. Because what I'm going to do is use one screw. To hold one block. Because it split. Because I made it too small. I keep forgetting with cedar wood that it's very brittle. But there we go. We have a reasonably level lip. So when we bring our shelf, we don't have the other side in yet, but this is just going to set on 2 blocks of wood. It's a very, very simple way. Actually, something I have to slightly worry about. That is the thing I need to worry about. Okay. Well, I was not anticipating on doing that, but we are moving very quickly through what I was expecting to do. And I'm honestly reasonably okay with, okay, hey, we gotta do a thing now. In my case, that's sip tea. I always make time for tea. So, I've got a thicker block, got a little bit more mass of wood here. So, I'm a lot more confident in getting it, not splitting it like I did the other one. Because the other one I split. Don't want to do it to the second one. And also, this one I think is actually a little bit easier to show what I'm trying to do here. So, see I have my screw mostly driven in here. And then you can kind of see there's a slight nub here. And then I have a hole right there on my block. And I want to land that null. Oh, wow. I want to drive that in a bit more. And that means these screws are actually really well sized for what I want to do. So once I get it, I can feel that. I know I'm in my spot. Take my drill in. Slowly bring it in a little bit. Just a few clicks. And then I'm going to come back in here. And my goal is to level this. And then once I get it reasonably level, come back with my drill. And just a few clicks. Because I want to avoid doing what I did here. I split that. We wish to avoid that. So what I'm going to do now is Pre-drill 1. Pre-drill. Probably should drive that down. Two holes. And with that, come back out here. Check for a reasonable amount of level. I have a reasonable amount of level. And then I grab some screws. To drive those in. And then we look. And I see I have a slight gap. You can see that gap there? We're close here. But if I try to wiggle it, it's rock solid. It's rock solid. So let's go ahead and take our little board. As you can see, we wiggle it back and forth, and it does not move. Well, it doesn't fall through. And that gives us a little spot here to throw some cans of beer, which is great. However, though, I notice I have a slight flaw in my shelf here. My shelf is proud of the frame. My shelf sticks out, essentially, is what I mean. Regardless of how I orient it, it's a little bit proud of the frame. So when I go to build a door for that, when I go to build the actual door for this, I can't, it's not going to shut properly. Because this is going to be sticking out. So that is now my next challenge. So, since we got the shelf reasonably installed, we're actually moving to table saw coon. Woo! And now we turn. Oh, without hitting the workbench, ideally. There we go. Because we're going to be using this little bit of area here. And then I'm going to also block the table saw so it don't move. And now I grab clamps. Clamp number 1. Clamp number 2. And we're going to get this guy clamped in. This one's a little bit more user-friendly? Oh, that's why. I forget how thick. I forget I doubled up 2x4s for this. And once again, you can see I'm not the best at using 2 hands at the same time. Very not good at using 2 hands at the same time. Definitely strongly lacking there. Ah, Mr. Spock, hello, hello. However, though, once I get one clamp on, makes it easy to add the second. Makes it really easy to add the second. Which, not really giving you guys the best view there, so. think that's about as best as I can do right now. So I have my workpiece right here. It's supported, not going anywhere. Now I have to grab a magic tool. And I've got a magic tool right here. That's a good old trusty handy dandy hand plane. And this is what I'm going to use to take my board. Do you have a logical plan developed? Reasonably. We've got some challenges awaiting us earlier. But for now, I have to take this board and I have to make it less wide. Woo! So, whoa! Oh wow! Long curly shavings. Woo! And I'm going to be very generous with the amount of material I'm removing. Simply because I'm trying to get my shelf down to the width I want. And I really like these shavings. They're weird shavings. Woo. Okay. Woo! I actually got the hand plane set up nicely. I really love how smooth that feels. I am a big fan of my power tools, but I am slowly coming over to the camp of hand planes. So, I want my board to be less than 6 inches. My board is now right at 6 inches. So, this guy is right at 6. Gosh, it's so smooth. So smooth. But you know what? Unfortunately, I'm also dangerously ambitious. And by dangerously ambitious, I have this... Isn't it measure once, cut twice? Yeah, I think that's what it is. Oh my gosh, that feels amazing. It's so silky smooth. It feels better than a, It feels better than if I sanded it. So yeah. Granted, it's funny, I'm not sure if you guys can see it quite so much, but I'm a little bit thinner down here than I am up there. But that's fine. That's fine. But I'm going to flip it around, mostly because I want to do some passes on this roughage, so that way I have 2 silky smooth sides, is what I want. Or at least what I deem desirable. If I can manage to not drop my board. Granted, it would be even better if I could do this with my carpenter's vise that you can see like right over there, but I can't hand plane on the workbench because the workbench isn't heavy enough. Whereas my table saw station has the mass to where it's not going to really want to shake too much on me. Ooh. Ooh. Let's see here. So let's do that. And now, this is an aspect of hand planes I'm still very much like the greatest amateur in the world at, and that is actually adjusting it to where I get like really good shavings. But that's the... Oh. Okay. Let's see. Okay, passes are still being a little bit too light. So, what I want to do... Man, I really do not have the greatest level of understanding with this technology. Because that is also another issue I've had with, in particular, this hand plane. It's been the iron... Oh... Oh, no. I don't like that. Uh-oh. Iron's way... That's way too loose. I need to get that tightened down. But that's also like the kind of fun part with hand planes is like a lot of it can be just like really fine adjusting. Okay. I'm gonna back that off, quarter turn. Man. At one point I was too loose, but now it feels like I'm too tight. Okay. Let's see what we can get with that. Oh. Yep, that's not gonna work. I like how it's sometimes too loose, but then also I get it too tight, and then it's like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to work anymore. Not in the way you want me to work. And it's like, okay. Seems reasonable. I don't have a drop of confidence in myself, but I still try. Woo! So, what that just told me, I'm trying to take off way too much material. So, oh, ooh. I think we're cooking. Woo. But yeah, it's working. Oh. I don't think that was locked though. Huh. There. Granted, now gotta worry about this guy. If I want to be really good with it. That's what I gotta do to really get it down. So, definitely pulling a little bit too much. Let's see. I'm gonna play with the set screw a little bit and see what we get. Okay. I think I got a slight angle coming down towards me, but that's generally fine. I can live with that. Oh man. I'm still high on this side. So, and now I gotta do things in a way that I feel very strange and weird, but yep, that feels way too strange and weird. And if things feel strange and weird, you need to readjust to where they're no longer strange and weird. Because I think I'm pretty good in terms of my width on this side of the world, but not on this side of the world. So I'm going to set up, and I'm only going to take like half passes. I'm only going to go halfway across the thing. And then also, okay, let's try this. You know what? Reasonable. Reasonable. I need to measure a bunch now. Crikey. That was a lot of work, but that might not, that's probably it. There's a little bit of rough, so mostly here where I was like stopping. So I'm gonna just try and take a full pass and smooth it out. Well, I'm still very much a hand plane amateur. I'm a hand plane nobody. But got a nice pile of shavings underneath my feet right now, so. Oh. Yeah, that's that's like 5'8", and then this is just sub, and then this end of the world is just sub 6 inches, which ideally is all we. That's really all we should need. Stay over there, please and thank you. Hand plane. Head down there. You come over here. And this is kind of the ultimate test. Is it proud of the work? And it is a little bit. Wow. That's actually real funny. It is perfectly flush on this end and very imperfectly flush on that end. But it is bored. It is a board with less width than what it originally was. So, one more thing taken care of. One more thing taken care of. Even if it was a bit awkward, but that's fine. That is more than fine. So, whew. This brings us to our last big to-do. The last big to-do is to build a door. Now, there's a couple different ways I can go about this. Part of me is really tempted to do something like... Nah, I don't like that. I don't like that. What's probably going to have to happen is I'm going to have to do something like... Ooh, wait a second. What do you do for me? You do a lot, actually. You do a lot for me. I'm thinking something like this, and then something like this. The door has to be lower. In the front. But that's actually really close to that's actually really close to where I want that. Oof. Ooh. 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 Let me grab my pencil here. So I'm reasonably happy with that as a line. So what I think That's expected. I mean, I could technically drop it a little bit, but I do want there to be a gap at the bottom. Let's see. Should have had a pencil line on this somewhere. I don't see my pencil line. Ah, there it is. There, down through there. Oh boy. So that gets us a decent bit of our door, but not all of it. And that is going... Don't go away. That's the grand challenge of the project, is the front. The front is the challenge. Which makes me really glad that I spent the time doing what I was doing, getting these boards reasonably cut to length as far as what I wanted in terms of length. Because if I really wanted to, the problem is I'm greatly lacking in board here at that point for this guy. Now there are some various ways I can make up that difference, but that's going to be very challenging. And I'm thinking what ultimately probably needs to happen is I need to cut a third board. And then this comes over to here. We get things reasonably lined up based off the bottom. We will probably end up with something like this. Something like that, yep. So, I think I'm going to step away. From my earlier idea. And we're going to have to focus on... Oh, I see. I see my line. I see that line. I barely see that line. I need to see that line better. Oy, oy. Okay. Can't believe I actually got it that close. Don't move, don't move, don't move. Please don't move. Because I see it really nicely here, but I don't see it nicely over there, so that's the hard part. That is the hard part. Now, got some I have some worrisome cuts to make. Because I've got to cut angles out of this, and I have to cut big angles out of this. So, I'm going to center that a little bit more on my workbench. Take my fun little pile of shavings, kick them off to the side, get a little bit of room going. Get ourselves a little bit of room going, get this free. Because what I'm going to do, spin it around to here. And then have my little bit of area here. I like this area. It's a nice, reasonable bit of area. I can work with stuff, which is the important thing. So, grab. What I'm going to do here is to fix my board, get to the point where it doesn't move. And then I have a decent line here. I'm going to cut that with my circular saw. If I can find it. I found it. So I'm going to try and cut a little bit outside my line. And yeah. Oh, holy smokes. Ooh, I can't believe that worked out. Oh man, I really cannot believe that worked out. I'd say that looks good. That looks really good. Now, I have a slight problem. My life would be a lot easier if my line here, actually you can see that line amazingly well now, was on the other side of the world. Because I would prefer to start my cut from here versus here. I mean, I can try to start my cut there, but it's a really shallow angle of attack going into my line. I don't want to do that. Whereas if I come in here, I can have a better angle of attack. But this is also way too much unsupported workpiece. So my mission now is to change where that line goes. That's the next problem to solve. Because what I did is had this lined up reasonably with that, and then I scored my line across. So, since I want to flip my line to the other side, I think my answer is that. And also this way I can still kind of use my coffin as a goalpost of sorts. So I'm going to make sure I'm reasonably flat at end 1 and 2. And get like right up on my edge there. Make sure I have a good little bit of clearance at the bottom. And then grab my handy dandy magic pencil. And that is coming up really close to that line. And then if we flip it around, say that looks pretty dang good. That's not perfect, but pretty dang good. Because there it is on this line we just made, which is supposed to be a reference to that line. I think the angle's a little bit different. But that's close. That's close. And I can very much live with close. And now, I can do this number. Have it reasonably well anchored. Now, my line is getting really close to being in. I don't like that. I need to bring my piece out a little bit more. And I want to keep it as reasonably even with the side of my table saw stand here. That's my main goal. So we'll see if I'm... Mostly because I don't want my blade to actually cut into the station, which... If it does, it's not a big deal. The thing is made out of plywood and 2x4s. All pieces that are more than easily replaceable. However, though, none of my fingers are easily replaceable, and that is why safety is always of the paramount importance. Hence why I took the effort to make sure as much of my workpiece is being supported by the station. It's always better to have sacrifice a jig, a part of a station, Hell's Bells, a workbench. Workbenches are great sacrifices. Be a person who's willing to abuse their workbench. All that fun stuff. But I feel really optimistic. I'm a good inch off the edge. This isn't moving. I feel good about it. I'm willing to commit to a cut. So let's see what we get. Woohoo! My goodness gracious. I want that. Oh, wait, no. I got better longs. I have a better long thing. It's called a workpiece. I love a good workpiece. There we go. Thank you for your job, workpiece. Okay, so this is the side we cut. And what I don't see is I don't see a line. Holy smokes! That's why I don't see a line. I hit top and bottom. Top... Really? No? I see a little bit of squiggly there, but that's just like a little bit of an out squiggle. Wow. Oh, man. Nice. Nice. I gotta go. Hope the coffin goes well. Be careful because we almost saw your face. Oh, thank you for that. I try to use long, reachy things where and when I can, but I don't always succeed in that. And you have a good rest of your day, Yoshinaru. Oh, okay. Let's come back. Let's come back to this guy. Let's come back to this guy. So, number one thing I want to make sure I am 100% good on is my angles for this. Now, one side of the coffin lid, one side of the coffin, I want to have as close to a perfect angle on this side, but just running my fingers over that is really, really smooth. I love that. Man, I can't. That's bothering me. That's bothering me. So, and for small things, I like to use a small tool. Because this is the benefit of having like a whole bunch of different tools. It's like you can just use the right size tool for the right size problem. Easy. Easy, less noise. It's great. But yeah, right size tool for right size problem. So what we're going to do is we're going to have that there. And what I think is if I want to have that there, well, I don't have like the most straight, I don't have a perfect edge between these two. There's going to be a gap. There will be a gap. That's fine. That is more than fine. However, though, you got to worry about the next side. Now, here's the big thing I want to find out, is holding centerpiece center. If I take this over and bring it over to this side, how good do I get? How good do I get? And I get pretty dang close. If I'm willing to tolerate a slightly larger gap in my panel pieces, this is great. This is really great. This is actually really good. And what makes this good is I can use this piece as a template for my final piece. So we still got to do some board cutting here. So I think for what I want to do for now, we're going to park you guys over there. Oh, one of my candles went out. That's fine though. Get ourselves another work piece. So I want, because I was cutting these down earlier, these boards are slightly less than 29 inches. So I'm going to mark at 28. I'm going to mark at 28 inches and 7/8 with the goal of taking the line. That's going to be the goal. So I have a marked line. I don't have enough work surfaces. That's the constant struggle, is having enough work surfaces. Okay. So I got a little bit of wiggles in this. Definitely want to bring some stability to the equation. And by all means, I can totally do this. And then once I get that reasonably tight, reasonably secure, I can then take my handy dandy Makita. Woo! Okay. That was fun. Now, story time! Sort of. Need to wait. There. No, because those were the cut edges. Really? That had to have been how it went. Yeah, that has to be. So we had this really big imperfect gap. Caused our pieces to come off in two sides because we actually have bandsaw mill marks. So this was like the inner seam that separated on us, which is good because for the remainder bit of this, and also what might be ever so slightly concerning with this, is a point of weakness, which we definitely do have. Those scraps need to go off there so we can talk about what we got going on. So that's where we just cut on that side of the world. As you can see, we have a really big line of weakness. So what looks like happened here is this is where two sides of the tree met and started growing. Now, on this side of the world, we still have a bit of a crack, but this is actually the stronger side of the world because we actually have a little bit of fusing of the wood grain. Whereas like down here on this side of the world, we had bark touching bark. Very weak. So I'm thinking so we're going to have to be really careful with this. This may not behave in the way I anticipate. I hope it behaves the way I want it to, but we'll see. So for this piece, I have two sides. I have this side and that side. I like this side more simply because there's more like actually what I think I'll do is I'll go with this side because the little bit of white sapwood here will line up a lot nicer with the white sapwood on that. So this is how I want this side to go. This side has to be opposite. So what will happen is it'll be something like that. So got those edges nice and flush. And that will be reasonably what that side looks like if I want to go with that top side, which I think that's what I'm going to go with. Because I actually kind of like that. And then also once we actually get closer to the end of this, there's actually going to be a lot of brace supports because we're going to actually cut some of these guys down to size. And we'll probably have like 3 sticks that go all the way across, and that's going to be what holds the lid together. Sure, I'm reasonably happy with those lines there. So knowing, oh yeah, I want to use the other side. There's a little bit too much sapwood here. I'm going to bring this to here. Get it really lined up where I want it. And then we're just going to be using this board here as a template. So to check off cut, and then if I can flip it around, off cut, off cut. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And since I'm always a huge, incredibly big fan of making my easiest cuts first, that's what we're going to do. And take care of this guy down here. And I'm going to kind of slightly, we'll just be better. Yeah, that's better. That's better. Because then we're seeing the workpiece. Woo! There's just sawdust all over everything, as there should be. If the wood shop is too clean, then I'm not using it enough, and don't want that. We want to use our tools here. We want to take wood and build projects. Okay. Let's go. And there we go. And there we go. Loosen my clamp. Come on down, flip you around. And then we'll set this up basically like last time. We're gonna need to bring it a little bit further out so I don't hit my station. Don't want to hit the station. I don't care if I hit the station, but if I can avoid hitting the station, then. Woo! Okay. Hopefully this will be the last big cut. Okay. So I've got a much flatter surface there. And I'm very covered. Woo! Ah! Good morning, Dad's old chop. Currently inhaling cornucopious amounts of sawdust, brought to you by Fine Makita products. Or more importantly, this Makita circular saw, which is really great at making fine sawdust, but holy boy, I sure do enjoy using it. So, next question I have to ask myself is what happened here? Because one's flat, one's got a little bit more of a point to it. But still, I mean, considering the fact I was trying to mirror my pieces, I'm reasonably happy with that. I'm actually very reasonably happy with that. Actually. Yeah, we got that real close. Really, really, really close. Oh, man. Woo! I've got way too much stuff going on here. Ah! Woo! Way too much stuff. Way too much sawdust. That's fine. Sawdust is how we know we're having fun around here. Okay. So, I think we want to use that piece for there. And then that piece for there. And let's go ahead and try to line some stuff up. Because we're going to be putting together a coffin lid here soon. Got a little bit of a gap there, so, ooh, yeah, bring that in. Now, if I'm willing to just have a slight bigger gap, there we go, there we go, there we go. Let's see here, bring you in a little bit, because I need to store the rest a little. I want it to be a hair bit proud of the bottom. We're looking at the top of the guy right now, so, which, let's go ahead and have a little bit better view of the lid for the coffin. So, I gotta say, it's looking very coffin-y right now. Ah. And tea's finished. Tea is delightfully finished. And I'm standing in an overflowing abundance of shavings. Shavings and offcuts. But that's just another sign of a good time. So, I'm gonna work on getting myself some tea going here. And then after we get the tea going, we get to play Bring It Together. And I really do like playing a nice, fun game of Bring It Together. And for today's Bring It Together, I think what we're going to do here is we're just going to take some pieces of wood. I think we'll do 3 pieces. And then we'll put some screws in, and that will be, these are going to be the runners that are going to hold all this together. These pieces are going to go on the outside of the lid. Because 1, I think that's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. And then 2, if I put them on the inside, that reduces the amount of inside space for storing alcohol in. That's not what we're trying to accomplish here right now. We're trying to build something that can hold some alcohol. And if I lose inside storage space, then I lose inside storage space. And I have limited myself based off the width of my stock, which is fine. That is plenty fine. Let's see. What's my temperature? I'm at 154 on the tea on my tea water. But yeah, once I finish pouring this cup of tea, I'm gonna throw the BRB screen on because it's been a good morning so far. But yeah, once we actually get like these boards on here and actually have like an actual solid lid, we'll be really close. The shelf is looking really good. Yeah, I'm actually really happy with it. I'm even going to be happier once we actually start throwing on our magic hardware. I've got shiny brass hardware. I'm going to put a nice little handle. Maybe some. Actually, you know what? That's an actual very important consideration with where I stick this, because I'm probably have like a nice like handle there. I bought some hinges, sweet, wonderful hinges, which are going to go on this side facing me here. And then also a really fun piece of technology that I haven't really played with on woodworking projects, but I really do want to play with this piece of technology on projects, is the magnetic catch. And what the magnetic catch is, you basically have a piece of metal you attach to your door, and then you have a magnet that you'll stick onto the frame. And when you go to shut the door, the magnet is going to grab the metal and it holds your door closed. So your door doesn't go places on you. You really don't want, I really don't want my door going places on me, because I'm sticking this in the fridge. And also some people might be wondering, Sugi, this is a big shelf for a fridge, and guess what? This is going into my basement fridge. And I've actually taken all my shelves. Well, nearly all. I've taken nearly all the shelves out of the basement fridge. I've even taken out the crisper drawers, but I do have like I have one bottom shelf, which what the shelf is going to sit on. I've got that one bottom shelf, and then I just have like, and then it's just all empty. I've been wondering that whole time. Which, yeah, once I throw the BRB screen on, I can actually go and take a picture of like my fridge and show you all, because I took all the shelving out so I can throw my fermenters in it. Because what I'll do sometimes for some of my beers is I'll put them in the fridge for about 48 hours before I bottle them. And in that way, it chills the beer and it causes more of the yeast to settle out. So there's actually going to be plenty of room in this fridge to hold this thing. But I've got to pour myself a cup of the good stuff, because we do enjoy our brewed beverages around here. This is just the non-alcoholic kind of brewed beverage. And with that, I gotta use the little homesteader's room, and I'll be back after a few. And I am back. And now, time for a magic image. Kind of illustrate what I'm talking about. This is the level of room I have in my fridge. And as you can see, we have plenty of room for Coffin. Overflowing abundance of room for the Coffin. Definitely not worried about that. But yeah, just kind of a little bit of show and tell. This is what my downstairs fridge looks like. Which is, it's pretty much just used for just drinks, ingredients I've used for campfire cooking streams, and it's additional freezer space. Because being the person I am definitely an individual who can run short on freezer space. I don't have a chest freezer either. So, my goal, how I wish to do this, is I am okay with this looking a fair bit rough, a fair bit rustic, as the youngins say. So, what I'm going to do is, and I actually don't, this is going to wiggle a lot, so we're going to be putting these screws in as I pre-drill. Here, just grab the bin. Just grab the bin, you dingus. You silly Billy. And there we go. And then all that drilling. Well, the driving primarily really did things, so. But that is going to hold that board and keep it from wiggling. Hopefully. So, each one of these boards is going to get 2 screws. And there we go. Everybody gets 2 screws each. Per runner, I guess. I think these are called runners. And I also suppose I should have probably countersinked these. But you know what? It's a fine. It's a fine. It is 100% fine. And I also like it when I get to this part in projects where the weight and the mass of the stuff assembled makes the thing a lot more stable. So yeah, there we go. Our boards aren't going anywhere now. They are very well secured. So what I'm thinking about is we'll do something like that. And that will further help unify, solidify the door. I could probably just make do. We'll see how things go. As far as how reasonably solid this is with just 2. And if I think it's solid enough with just 2, I'll just run with those. But we'll actually see. We'll see. We'll see. Because at the rate we're going, each one of these face boards is going to have 4 screws. we'll see how solid we make this. I don't want that screw. There we go. Okay. Magic question time. How solid do I feel like that? So now it comes down to aesthetics, I feel like. I feel like the two pieces of board that secure this, I feel like that's good. That's probably good. Yeah, because that's going to hold everything. It's going to hold everything and, more importantly, do so nicely. Oh, boy. I'm running short on water. I mean, I've got tea, but I got to wait for my tea to cool, though. Whew. Still a little warm. Okay. Now. We have to deal with this. Which is actually a really easy thing to deal with. These are very thin. Really easy boards to cut through. Well, that's a saw to the wrist. And that's par for the course for me. So we'll now get our next guy out. To the workbench. Did not quite get that as flush as I want. Let's see. Because I want to tackle that from this side of the world. That's what I want to do. Which, sorry guys, that might be a bit out of the field of view. It's a little bit off the side. Better. Better. So much better. Oh, split out. That's not better, but we can live with that. We can live with that. That is perfectly livable with. Whew. Okay, now. Where are you? There you are. And I gotta say, this is a pretty solid. This is a pretty solid door. I'm not worried about that. So we moved. We moved on from worrying about that. The sun's really starting to come out in a really big way. So it is now time to do one of the trickiest parts of this project. Install the hardware. Well, specifically the hinges. The hinges are going to be the hardest part. This is the part that mildly concerns me. Because hinges are a thing of thou shalt get very lined up well, or else that project will not be as whole as you desire. But I am going to tackle this with a ever so slight trick. And the slight trick is going to be I'm going to line up my shaft, my pin, on my crease. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ever so slightly pre-drill 2 holes. Just 2 holes. 2 small holes. Because I don't need big... Because we don't need super big holes for these. Because our mounting screws are quite small. But more than sufficient for what we're doing. Which I probably... This might be dangerous at this juncture. Actually, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. So, a thing I had to check just now was my screw shaft size compared to my drill bit. Because if you drill a hole too big for your screws, the threads aren't going to bite into the wood, and you're going to have words for yourself when your screws don't grip. So just take a moment to check, make sure I grab the right drive bit. And then with all that out of the way, grab our magic hinge, our handy dandy brass hinge. And I'm not going to get it tight. I'm just going to get it fairly on there. Kind of a little bit loose. Until I get my second screw in. And then and then with the second screw installed, I can get that flush. Looking really good so far. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you might notice my hinge is supported. It's not wiggling. It's not doing the wiggles like it was earlier when there was no screws in it. And that is how the VTubers say, all according to Keikaku. And that way, the hinge is just sitting there, hanging out, doing its thing. And that's actually a big thing I try to do. I try to do it when I do my projects. Find ways to make gravity to, well, harness gravity to make my life easier. Because I'm not always successful in that endeavor, but I try. And there we go. That is hinge 1 installed. Yes, Dad's old chop. We need to we need to do whatever we can to help us bring our projects together. Because there's one of the most undesirable aspects, and one of the hardest things in woodworking, I think, is like if you have to fight a project together. Fighting a project together is like the biggest bucket of not fun in doing projects. In projecting. I don't know if projecting is a term. It's a term now, I suppose. Okay. And that's why I can't put too much pressure. But I just need to use that as a gauge to set where I want my holes. And that was really squealing and doing a little bit of smoking. Oh no! Don't talk about time deadlines around here. No. No. I don't like time deadlines. Time deadlines are bad for Sugi. I mean, granted, that's also like the best part of when I'm doing projects for myself is I'm setting my own time deadlines. Which actually, there's actually a side thing I've got I wouldn't mind talking about, but I'm gonna get this hinge on here first. I'm gonna get the hinge on. There we go. Doesn't have to be super tight. Just a little bit tight. Okay. So I had an emergency quest happen this morning before stream, and now thanks to the time change and various other shenanigans, I actually had a really good amount of time to prep for stream. And I was like, man, I can get some stuff done. I can get some things taken care of. And one of the things I decided to take care of was getting the basil out of my dehydrator. Well, I did that. Well, while I was doing that, I noticed something. And that something was some of my apples were starting to rot. And we all here know the expression, it only takes one bad apple to ruin a barrel. In my case, I kept my apples in the plastic bags that I originally purchased them in, under the boundless optimism that the fruit grinder that I'm still waiting on would have shipped from Amazon. It actually, well, it's because Amazon said they would ship it between October 18th and November 6th. It has shipped, and I'm expecting it on Wednesday. So I'm currently tentatively thinking Saturday. This upcoming Saturday will be the cider making stream. But yeah, I basically had to emergency go through, like hand dig through all my apples and sort out the bad ones. So what you see in the plastic bucket there, those are my bad apples. And all the ones in the cardboard containers, those are my good apples. And the apples you're actually looking at here, those are my wine sap apples. Though there was one bushel bag that only had one bad apple in it, and then the other bushel bag had like maybe 7 tops. So I didn't really lose a lot of apples. The rest were from the Jonathans, which Jonathans are like a sweeter apple. They're not so much of an actual like proper cider apple. Cider apples tend to keep a little bit better. They're a little bit more tannic, don't have as much sugar, so they don't break down as quickly. But I probably should have moved my apples to cardboard containers like what you see here, where they're more spread out in at a level. There's not so much weight of apples on them, which makes me think how they kept apples in barrels for so long. But yeah, that was a slight emergency to do and has to get done like right now. Oh yeah, I can just do that. Wow, that feeling when I just am now discovering functions in OBS. I certainly am. Can I pretend I'm still very new to streaming? I've only done like 160 some odd videos, so yeah, let's still pretend I'm new at this, right? I mean, I still pretend I'm new at woodworking, which I still very much consider myself like an amateur at this, but you don't need to be good to have fun. There we go. And one more magic screw. There we go. Woo. Trash can with you. Okay. Come to Sugi, you big thing. You big lug. You big lovable lug. So. Ooh, I see what's going on. Ooh, I see what's going on. Let's see here. Let's grab you and you. So we can kind of see a little bit more of what's going on. I might have to see what my options here are, depending on how bad this is. But I think I know what's going on. So, actually, no, that's... Okay, so there is a slight pitch. Because... Let me see here. Yeah, because it's level, but as it swings out, my lid dips down. So once I get it about yay open, I lose the width of my boards. Yeah, because that's what's happening. Because I have my hinges at an angle. Because they're at this angle. So when this opens, this dips down, touches. I'm still open here. How do I wish to tackle this? Because, I mean, from the perspective of like a coffin, I love what I got going on, but the practicality of my situation is... So there's a couple of solutions. I wonder if I take... You know what? I got an idea. This involves losing some support for my hinges, but we're going to drop the hinge count to 1. And we'll see what this does for us. Because we've got 1. It definitely does. Yeah, it's definitely a lot more even. Oh, but yeah, that's the thing. It's also harder on that hinge, too. I wonder. would it be possible for me to do this hinge here? It wouldn't, because if I were to hinge, this would pinch. Unless, well, actually no, because okay, so definitely have a slight conundrum here, and that is with a hinge down here, this doesn't open flat. It doesn't open level with everything else because it's opening based off this line. So the answer then becomes, well, why not use a separate line? Well, I could attach this hinge here, which is an idea, but what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to really have to take out this edge right here, because if it opened like this, you can see how this is spraying out in a wedge shape. That's what my lid's doing. But it's doing it in a way where it's gonna not open fully, which I don't like that. So I gotta think about how I want to do this. Now there's always attaching hinges at the top and pulling it up, but I don't like that option. I don't like that option either. I do not like that option either. So, how do I want to make this work? I mean, honestly, I'm leaning towards putting a hinge here and then just doing unspeakable horrors to this corner, because I need that corner. Basically, I need that corner to disappear. Well, actually, no, because if I put that there, no, if I put a hinge here, the hinges will fight each other. That's what will happen. The hinges will fight each other. Or another idea is I could go with it, still have it provide two hinges for support, but keep them closer together. And that might work better. Okay, you know what? As far as all the ideas I have, I like that idea. Because if I have two hinges right next to each other here, it's going to want to pivot here versus, because this is going to be the pivot line. That's the line where it's held, versus if my hinge was down here, I would have all this. I think that's better. I'm optimistic enough to try it. Which, I mean, really just to try it, all I have to do is just poke some holes into some wood, set some screws, so. The cost to try is low. And it's not like I'm actually making, like, something actual nice for someone, you know? Like, this is going in my fridge. So let's grab your screws. And see what we can do. Now these are brass screws, which means they're non-magnetic. So they don't always hold as well. There we go. Why does that feel tight? I don't think I got that lined up super well, but we will play with this and see what we get. Screw. There we go. So that goes to the workbench. So the question is, how much, if I open this, does it stay parallel to that? I still think I'm getting a little bit of that issue I was having, but I think I've reduced it. Because if we do this, stand it up, it definitely does scrape. So if we try to open it up all the way, that is our gap. Now really, this isn't end of the world by any means. Because there's Because just as there's more than one way to skin a cat, there's more than one way to have a coffin door open. So, with risers underneath of it, it already naturally opens that much. So, if I take my risers, now they're less supported in this position, but it's higher up. It's a little bit more usable. And I think that might be this. I think at the end of the day, that's going to probably be the best solution, unless I can figure out something better. Granted, because the lid naturally wishes to open, we're going to really get a good test out of the magnetic latch. Which, who knows? We'll play with that next, though. And yeah, you can leave that. We can leave that. Okay. Next, hardware. And I do think having those hinges closer together helps them support the door. So, should be better. Okay, let's see here. Oh, there we go. Holy smokes, these screws are tiny. Look at these little guys. They're so cute. So, we have depth stops for our handy dandy magnet. And we have a piece of metal. And that's how it works. Piece of metal will go on the door. This will go inside the cabinet. And that is how everything gets held together. Now I can pretty much stick this just about wherever I want, per se, but I'm going to make my life really easy here. Really easy for me, and also probably not so fun for you all. Simply because I'm not showing this part so well. But I mean, it's probably possible for me to show it, but I have to really reposition camera. I don't feel like doing that. Wonderful. Wonderful. 2 wonderful pre-drilled holes for hardware. And I'm actually going to attach the magnet first before I do the piece of metal. Because I'm going to let essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to let where the magnet ends up, deciding where I'm going to stick the piece of metal, which, oh, that's exciting. That's unnecessary exciting. Okay. Not how I was expecting that to go down, but okay. Tight tolerances, I can live with that. Okay, so that is the first of 2 screws installed. Moving on to the second, find my pre-drilled hole. And then gotta set the depth. Oh, that's actually brilliant. Okay. Yeah, we'll do that number. Perfect, perfect. I can't believe I had that idea. Okay, that's a little bit too good of an idea to not share it with chat. So, let's see, how do I want to do this? Honestly, we're going to do this the easy peasy way. So, we're going to come over here. And it's a lot easier to show it this way versus any other way. Apologies for the camera. But what I did when I was tightening my screws down on the inside here, there's one, you see one down there, is I took my thumb and pressed my metal plate, and then the metal plate pushes against the magnet. The magnet has some rails in it, and that actually set the depth. So it's nice and flush, but also it's perfectly set. It's perfectly set. I'm really happy with that. It's not every day I end up with a happy result. So, I need to take a marker and I need to figure out roughly where I want that. Ooh, I may want that. Wait. How flush does that sit? It does not sit as flush as I thought. Okay. So, I might actually... okay, so I'm going to... okay. So, even more learning happening here. There's a gap. There's a really big gap. So what I need to do for this all to work is the magnet needs to actually be a bit proud. It doesn't necessarily have to be flush, but it has adjustable rails. So I'm just going to stick this as far out as I can and then tighten it back down. And then hope that's far enough out for me. Now I did put 2 lines here. Kind of can't see them. They're literally right outside the field of view. So once again, more stuff happening slightly off screen. Now, I am going to want this to be a hair bit in. I don't want it to necessarily be like flush. So I'm going to just have it stick in a little bit, because my magnet sticks a little bit in past my board. So we'll go, let's say, we'll call it a 1/2 inch into the lid. And there, I've got a pre-drilled hole now. That comes down. Let's see. That is a really small fine screw. That will grip though. It will grip. Good. Most important question, will it grip? Because if it don't, then I'm going to be a sad woodworker. Well, not necessarily a sad woodworker. I'll just have to change the screw, which I can't do. There's part spins for that. Ooh, I need a finer head driver. That's what I need. Yeah. Come here, you. Yeah. So, you're roughly where I want you. And wonderful. Wonderful. Great. So, we have our magnet. It's a little bit proud. And there's our latch. So, it drags, it likes to drag, it is a drag. And I think that magnet has to be a little bit more proud. that might take some fine tuning. Let's see here. If I get it up on risers, I'll find out even better, which, yeah. The level's pretty good, but the magnet needs to be more proud. I don't have my holes pre-drilled on that. Right where I want them. Womp, womp. Easy fix, though. And that's one of the fun things about doing projects like this is sometimes things don't work out the first time, which is fun. You can always adjust. Just redo. Very simple, very easy fix. Now, I just have to resend my screws back through this thing, which, let's see here, because it's reasonably tight. You actually have to kind of pre-start your drill a little bit to get it going. And then, yeah, let's see what we can do. Wonderful. One. And our thing is a lot more proud. Okay. Let's set some stuff down. So we are almost excessively proud, which is fine. Because what I want to do is basically compress it. And then, but there. Flies open, but there. It holds. It holds. We've achieved holding. Just finished making some honey oil. Now I have to dispatch a chicken. Ooh. We like food around here. We definitely like food. Granted, I'm not a fan of chicken, though. Okay. So the latching is weak, but it works. Because I can literally just wiggle it, and it's enough to do it. But I think that's just because of the weight of the door. I'm using things in a way they were probably not meant to be originally used, but it's all good. But we are nearly done. We are very much nearly done. For now, I just gotta get a handle on the situation. Which, yes, terrible, terrible pun. Absolute terrible pun. That I will not apologize for. But hey, we are doing wonderfully. So, let's find out. Because I want to have it roughly there. May not be as straight as an arrow, but it's on there. Well, the holes are pre-drilled. It's not on there yet, but it's getting really close to being on there, though. One. Two. Three. And four. Well, what'd you know? That's a handle. Woohoo! Now, there's definitely some refinement to what we've made here. Because I think I have way too much of a gap. Because I've got a really big gap on this side, but I still hear the click of magnetic latch, and it still kind of holds the door, which is nice. Sure. Let's see. I want big things. Big things. Big blocks of wood. Big old... Actually, wait a second. Ah! I got a better idea. We're still going to use the big blocks of wood. We're going to use the big blocks of wood in a different way, though. If I can find some place to set them while I... Come on down. Hey, you gotta show off the build, man. Oh, we lost track of the pumpkins. There we go. Block of wood 1, block of wood 2. Yee. How's that? A little bit better. Gotta have finished product, man. There we go. And there we go. It's a coffin. It's a coffin shelf. I actually need to have Need to have it like right on the edge of the thing, but the lid's probably too heavy. It'll pull it forward. The magnet is just weak enough. Stay. It is good enough to just stay. But yeah. It took a while. Actually, it didn't really take a while. It was just 2 project days in the shop. But yeah. It's a coffin. I probably should add a second magnetic latch just to help with the closing of it. And really the reason why it needs a little bit more oomph is the door is pretty thick. I mean, I did not thin my material down whatsoever. This is full 3/4 cedar with full 3/4 cedar holding it, but it is a cohesive door, and it also has gaps, which is good for airflow, because we want this project to have airflow. Because if we don't have airflow, then the alcohol we stick in it is gonna not be cold. But I need to grab a thing. We need to have a thing before we call this done. And that's the thing. We gotta like test this thing out. We have to test it out for how we intend to use this, which I probably am going to need a lot more weight. Because if I take my hand off this, it's going to be a bad time. But holy smokes, would you look at that? The thing holds alcohol, and that is what we want. It's just the lids. My lid's too heavy, and it wants to do things. I'm not entirely sure how I want to fix that. Because the thing is, if my hinges were like this, it'd be perfect. Which I might be able to do something like that. Ooh, that's the game plan. That's the game plan. That's the game plan. Is take a cut off this and then basically glue it to that side. That is actually how I'm going to fix that. That is how I'm going to fix that. So that way the hinges, with a little bit of extra wood between them and this, they will be a bit more at a 90-degree angle, and this is going to want to come out in a 90-degree angle rather than the off angle it comes at that. It took some thinking. It took some thoughts. Well, actually, it took way too much brain power for a VTuber to figure out, but this VTuber actually finally figured it out. I know how I'm going to fix that. And that's probably going to also help me with the lid, too. Well, it's also going to help me with the latching. But yeah. So, cheers. We got a project done today. And shucks, can I just show you guys like the we gotta do the whole, we gotta show the whole thing, man. But yeah. So we got to use some really good we got to use some pieces of wood, of some lumbers that would not be good for other projects, but great for this application. So we got some nice holes in the back, lots of good airflow. It's going to be great. Just don't want to ruin my coffin. So lots of good airflow in the back. It's going to be able to breathe. All good stuff. All good stuff. Two high fives up. Thank you. But yeah. I am exceptionally happy with this. Especially now that I have a game plan for the other side. Well, to fix the hinge issue. Which, that's going to be quick and easy, though. Ah, man. Damn, I'm proud of this. Definitely has its imperfections. Let's see. Nah, you can't quite see that. I don't have, like, super aligned edges or anything, but hey, you know what? It's a coffin. Which I do know I'm going to actually take a real nice picture. I'm going to throw my bike lights into the pumpkin and then set them on either side to make for a really nice picture. I'd kill for some good oil right now. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm ultra happy with it, especially with especially knowing how I wish to fix the hinge issue I have, which that's going to be like easy now. That's going to be super easy. But yeah, DIY coffin. Well, DIY coffin shelf, which honestly, I can have the lid out. One moment. I can have the lid out. It's just I gotta have the get a block of wood under it. There we go. Kind of, maybe. Thinking about it. You're not going to be stable, are you? You're not a stable person, are you? Well, neither am I. But yeah. It holds alcohol. It does what I need it to do. Now, granted, pointer. I am thinking about maybe adding a second shelf at some point. But one shelf, one main storage area. Main storage area can hold bottles of wine, handles. I don't really buy handles of alcohol. I am a pretty straight beer guy, which I'll also be having some Oktoberfest style beer straight from Munich, Germany. But for now, I'm just celebrating with a good old Kirtland lager. But yeah. Really fun, really spooky project. Really happy with the results. You really can't ask for more. You just can't. And also, got to do some fun hand planing. Got some curls, which these curls are going to make for some good fire starter. Yours returns to slatter or blubber. Ooh, neat. Okay. So, successful project. Really can't ask for anything more. Just needs a little bit of fine tuning, and then it'll be perfect. So I've got plans with a friend later today, and oh wait, okay. So, but before I go hang out with my friend, I need to make some lunch. So I could really use some lunch. Probably stuck in the past though. But yeah. So I'll at some point have a schedule up. It just depends on things. Probably later today. But yeah. I'm just happy with this. Oh man. But yeah, I'll have a stream schedule out later. I think for next week I'm planning on doing some Stardew Valley. We'll do some cider making. We'll finally do the cider project. Presuming I'm supposed to get a thing on Wednesday, and if I get the thing on Wednesday, we'll definitely be doing some cider making on Saturday. And then Sunday, we'll be campfire cooking, and we'll be actually making actual food, not desserts. So, really looking forward to making actual food rather than desserts, because I have a terrible dessert backlog. So, I'd like to say thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. I hope those of you who picked up an extra hour this weekend, I hope you get a lot out of it. I have benefited from my extra hour already, and I'm really happy with it. Well, I would be even happier if I don't have to do the time change anymore. I will say that. I would be ecstatic if I didn't have to do the time change thing anymore. But at least the fall one gets me an extra hour of fun. Or sleep. Or both. Sleep can be fun. So, I'm going to go start making me some lunch. And I'd like to wish all you wonderful people, may you have a great rest of your day, night, evening, whatever it is, wherever you're at. And hopefully I'll see you all on the next one. Okay, bye-bye. Wait.